Welcome to another episode of SportsVibe, episode 97, the AFC preview. Continuing our football preview series. We did the NFC preview last episode, 16 teams in just about 30 minutes. Did my research yesterday, so I'm ready to go here today. Looking at every team in the AFC, division predictions, wild cards, AFC championship, and a Super Bowl prediction too. So a lot in this episode. Yeah, I mean, the NFC seems like the conference of change. New teams come in and out. The AFC is kind of more of the same, but still a lot of movement among all these different teams. Starting with the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills, over and under 11.5 wins. They're always at the top of the crop in the East, but the question is, can they get over the hump and get to the Super Bowl? Can they beat Kansas City? Seems like the question for a lot of AFC teams, but the Bills have done their work on defense. They have Greg Rousseau and Ed Oliver. They put Joey Bosa in there, a big pass rusher on that side of the ball. The Bills have been a little bit weaker on defense, very good on offense. They also have Tre'Davious White, Taylor Rapp, Christian Benford. Their first 5 picks all on the defensive side. Cornerback Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky, TJ Sanders, South Carolina, Landon Jackson, Arkansas, the edge rusher, Deion Walker, also from Kentucky, a really good defensive tackle prospect that I was hoping the Giants might be in on. Ohio State's Jordan Hancock, remember him for, I believe, returning an interception against Rutgers, but a member of that vaunted Ohio State Buckeyes defense. So obviously, a bunch of good players, all 5 different SEC players on that defensive side. They really reinforced that. On the offensive side of the ball, James Cook with a hold-in situation at running back. They also have Ray Davis. James Cook was pretty good. That run game for the Bills was pretty good. I thought they could go to it more. Although I just saw that he actually he agreed to a 4-year extension, including $30 million guaranteed. So it looks like he is going to be playing with the team. So he's ready to play for Buffalo. I mean, the Bills. I thought they could have gotten to the run game a little bit more against the Chiefs. So it's definitely working for them. I think the defense looks very good. I mean, on offense, Josh Allen coming off his MVP season. He has a lot of weapons. I mean, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Joshua Palmer coming in from the Chargers, Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, the tight ends for Buffalo. So they're the East favorites once again. So, but the defense could help them get over the hump. Yeah, I mean that's Buffalo in a nutshell for you. They're always like kind of the bridesmaids, never the bride. But maybe that could change this year. The Baltimore Ravens in a similar spot. The Miami Dolphins over and under 8.5 wins. Can they get into the playoffs? Can they win in the playoffs? I mean, they bring back, Tua Tagovailoa, often injured. He's dealt with his concussions. Stephon Achane, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. But I mean, I think the question is the defense. How will they do? They have a good D line, weak O line, secondary. They're always kind of in the middle. Good against the bad teams, bad against the good teams. They lose Calais Campbell and Teron Armstead, but they add Bradley Chubb on the edge with Chop Robinson, Jalen Ramsey, the big trade for Minka Fitzpatrick in the secondary. I mean, they're going to be in the mix, but I don't know if they're going to do anything crazy this year. I mean, I think it's definitely Buffalo's division. The Patriots, they could be very improved. I mean, Drake May, I think Stephon Diggs. I mean, they have Matt Collins, Kyle Williams. Apparently, the offensive line has been struggling in camp, but on the defensive side of the ball, Milton Williams from the Eagles, Christian Barmore added as well. So New England, a lot of people, they're over under bumped up to 8.5. Looks like they've gotten better all over the place. Christian Gonzalez is very good at cornerback, but I mean, looks like they're expected to improve quite a bit. Seeing that J.J. McCarthy for the Vikings shredded their defense ahead of their preseason game. I mean, it's nothing to go but up. So yeah, nothing to go for up. I mean, nothing to go but up for the Patriots. They were among the worst in the NFL last year, but they finished just outside of the 3rd spot. They were 4th in the NFL draft due to winning a game that they shouldn't have won against Buffalo in the end of the regular season. And we see what that could do when it comes to draft picks. But I mean, they still made up for it. I think with their eventual draft pick, and I think they'll be fine going into 2025. Getting Will Campbell, one of the top offensive tackles in the draft. Travion Henderson coming in from Ohio State. I think that's another player to watch out for. He ran a kickoff return all the way for a touchdown. We saw what he did with the Buckeyes. I think he's gonna be pretty good as well. So I mean, yeah, I mean New England. I mean, obviously they're not really the dynasty they used to be. I think improvement can be shown. And then moving on to the Jets, New York's other somehow lesser team, even with the Giants being as bad as they were. I don't know. I think that just says a lot. I was too busy with the Giants struggling to really dive deep into why the Jets were so bad. I mean, they had a lot of talent. They had good running backs, receivers, Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Even despite not living up to his standards, had by far one of the best seasons we've seen from a Jets quarterback in recent memory. The defense is very talented as well, but they were very sloppy. The kicking game was bad. They missed field goals. The run game got stuffed. The defense was an even bigger disappointment. They were 3-7 in one-score games. I don't know. Nothing really went right. They were penalized the most in football. I mean, they just didn't work out, like the coaching, but really the defense really derailed us. The run game wasn't great. Pretty much everything other than Rodgers in the past game was just not clicking for this Jets team. And after what the disaster of Aaron Rodgers in 2023 tearing his ACL, I mean, he comes back, or his Achilles, comes back 24, has a good season, and the experiment fails. And it's just like, things like this only happen with Jets and maybe the Giants for some reason. I mean, I can't explain how much misery they are in, but this season they bring in Justin Fields at quarterback from Pittsburgh. I mean, I've always liked him, like with the Bears and everything. I think he could have a good season. Aaron Glenn and a head coach, a running back, very talented roster up and down. I mean, it'd be surprising if they can't overtake their win total. Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. The receivers now, they have Alan Lazard, Josh Reynolds, Garrett Wilson, who's been very good. Their O-line with the draft pick, Armand Memvu. They still have Vera Tucker, Joe Tippmann. Their defense led by guys like Quincy Williams, Will McDonald as the edge, Sauce Gardner, the elite corner. I mean, this is a team that should really be more talented than 5.5 wins. I mean, they should be a wild card team. If Justin Fields can hold up to his bargain. How far can Justin Fields take this team is a question. Is he going to be better than Aaron Rodgers? Even if he is the rest of the team going to be better than Aaron Rodgers or better than 2024? Can they hold up? Because they have way more talent. It's kind of like where the Giants are. I mean, they have a lot of talent too, and this year, but they might not be that good. But the Jets, kind of the same thing. So I don't know. Again, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. But I mean, it just feels like the Jets, again, they have a lot of talent and they're going to underachieve. The Giants are going to make some noise and maybe surprise people and still not make the playoffs. And the Jets are going to somehow be even worse, which, I mean, I don't know why that happens, but it's not my problem, unfortunately. So I'm just saying that roster-wise, the Jets have a lot of talent. Whether they utilize that properly or not is anyone's question. But yeah, I mean, they really should be winning more than 5.5 games, but they have like a horrible track record of doing so. Either way, I think it's going to be the Bills' division to win. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, we'll see how Justin Fields does, honestly. If he does all right, then maybe the Jets will do all right. I really don't know. I mean, they probably won't, but again, not my problem. So we'll see how well Gang Green does this year. A little bit of a tougher schedule too. Their opener against Pittsburgh is going to be very interesting because the teams have swapped quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers coming back to MetLife as a member of Pittsburgh. Justin Fields, after starting for the Steelers in the beginning of the season, will be on the other sideline against the Jets. Russell Wilson in New York, captaining the Giants too. So a lot of MetLife, Pittsburgh, New York crossovers there. Moving over to the West, this is another team that I'm very fond of, the Kansas City Chiefs. A really weird year that they had in 2024, 12-0 in one-score games. It started with Isaiah Likely's toe being out of bounds against Baltimore, and it included a blocked field goal, defensive stands, favorable calls that gave the Chiefs an extra chance. I mean, you name it. Like, the Chiefs have found the most ridiculous ways to win football games last year, and no one really respected it. Nobody gave them credit for it. I mean, I think their defense was very good. I think that's the real reason why they were winning a lot of these games. I don't think anyone bothered to mention that for some reason because they just assumed it was because of the refs, and a lot of it was. Anyway, I mean, I think the defense deserves a lot of credit. People are giving the offense credit for no reason. They did not deserve it. But they did find a way to move the ball. I mean, Travis Kelce kind of had a decent season, although he calmed down a bit. They found their players. I mean, Kareem Hunt comes back into the lineup. Isaiah Pacheco gets injured. They kind of figured out what to do. Xavier Worthy had his moments as a rookie. He was pretty solid for them. So they knew what to do on offense, and their defense took care of the rest, and they got a little lucky, and they still went to the Super Bowl, even in a down year. And they looked better towards the end of the season. I mean, we looked at these playoff games. Yeah, we looked at these playoff games against the Texans, elite defense once again. I mean, the Bills, they had scored over 30, but then in the Super Bowl, it all fell apart. They had a bad situation at left tackle. They tried to start their rookie Sue Mattia over there. They started someone else. They ended up moving Joe Tooney from guard to tackle. Then they had a hole at right guard and a lot of problems. So basically 6 sacks allowed from the Chiefs on 0 blitzes. The Eagles just rushed 4. And on the other side of the ball, the Chiefs defense, they did the right. I think they made a good call to focus in on Saquon Barkley, stack the box. They limited him like heck in that Super Bowl, although he still managed to have a decent impact in the receiving game, limited to 57 yards on 25 carries on the ground game, so completely stunned off. Thankfully, 2.3 yards per carry. So there's a victory for the Giants fans in the trade, if you want one. But yeah, the problem is they could not stop anything else. I mean, Jalen Hurts and his receivers completely exploited Kansas City. Mahomes, had 2 interceptions. I mean, even when he was able to escape, he just, the coverage was so elite. The linebackers were all over the place. The secondary, Cooper DeJean had a pick 6. I mean, another thing that caused problems with the run game was just non-existent. I mean, Kareem Hunt, Samaje Perine, and Isaiah Pacheco were just not doing like anything. They didn't have a run game. The receivers were covered, blanketed. I mean, Xavier Worthy had some nice garbage time touchdowns, but I don't know. The offense, I mean, they didn't protect Mahomes well enough. The defense, they tried their best, but Jalen Hurts had like a near perfect game, 17 for 22, 221 yards, dual threat quarterback with 72 yards on the ground. But I mean, getting Jahan Dotson involved, I mean, Saquon a little bit involved in the receiving game. I mean, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith for touchdowns in the end zone. I mean, like, Eagles could basically do whatever they wanted. So the Chiefs had to go back to the ground running. And this year could be Travis Kelce's last ride. I'm sure you guys saw the podcast about Taylor Swift and everything, all of that good stuff too. That was a good one. The receiving core. This is the offensive line. They've added Josh Simmons from Ohio State. They've added a couple key backups like Jalen Moore. They've reshifted everyone. Mike Caliendo. I mean, the offensive line problem looks like it might be fixed again, which is a good thing. I mean, I think, another big thing is the Chiefs they didn't really have a lot of fun last year. There was kind of a lot of checkdowns and not a lot of explosive plays down the field. And this year, I mean, Rashee Rice, who might be dealing with a suspension for his role in the car crash. Hollywood Brown's been a little banged up. But if they can get all 3 of these guys on the field at the same time, I mean, the Chiefs have been so good without these types of receivers. But I mean, adding guys like Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, and Hollywood Brown at the same time, I mean, we're talking about Kansas City with like, Miami level receivers like Tyreek Hill, like, bringing that kind of monster into Kansas City. I mean, it's going to be impossible to stop a team like that. They also added Elijah Mitchell, who I like because he's a little bit of a finesse running back compared to Pacheco and Hunt. I think they needed that too. The defense is as elite as it usually is, led by Chris Jones. They also have George Karlaftis, Drew Tranquill, Nick Bolton, the same core. The Chiefs, I mean, they've tried to cut corners by not having the high-end skill positions while the Eagles did. And I think that's, there's a way to do it. But, I mean, they spent so much money on, like, Mahomes, Kelce, Chris Jones. But, I mean, at safety, they lose Justin Reed. They get Jaden Hicks, who's pretty good. I mean, their defense is always pretty good. Their offense could be pretty scary this year. I mean, better offensive line. Mahomes could do what he does. Kelsey's going to be there as a security blanket. And then you have, like, guys like Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown. I mean, I really hope that the Chiefs receivers are healthy this year. I think if they are, I think that could be a big difference behind the good line. They're going to have some fun with this. They also drafted Jalen Royals in the draft. I mean, I think I think the Chiefs are gonna make a step forward again. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But the couple of these two that are injured, I think that might not be good. But I mean, I think Xavier Worthy's gonna get going. So I mean, Hollywood Brown, Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice. I mean, yeah, I think those two are going to be the key receivers. Here for the first few games, as well as Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy. I mean, they're playing against really good secondaries first few weeks. So I mean, yeah, I think it's they'll have their best receivers for the start of the season. The Chiefs actually have an interesting start to the year. They go to not San Diego. They go to Brazil to take on San Diego Chargers, the LA Chargers in Brazil. And then they play the Eagles for a Super Bowl rematch week 2. And then they come to MetLife to take on the Giants week 3. Very excited. The Ravens come to town. They have a tough schedule. The Lions, the Commanders, a lot of these heavy hitters on the schedule. Thanksgiving, going to Dallas to play the Cowboys, which is always going to be a fun one, I guess, because they'll win. The Texans come to town. Divisional rematches. They got the Broncos on Christmas. So the Bills, another game against Buffalo, who I'm very high on this year. And Bills tend to win the regular season matchups anyway. So, I mean, I think Kansas City will still be Kansas City with better receiver, potentially better running back, and better in the O-line, and equally elite in the trenches on defense too. And I mean, I think the only thing, the secondary isn't honestly that great, to be honest with you. And they kind of got torched by Philadelphia. Other than that, I mean, I don't know. I think they'll be just fine. I mean, worst case they they lose in the AFC Championship game or maybe the AFC divisionals, but best case they win the Super Bowl, because even in when they don't look good, they manage to make it pretty far. So that's my Chiefs take. Should be another year for the Chiefs Kingdom, who I obviously like. The Denver Broncos, another team that I'm pretty high on, 9.5 wins over and under. They made the playoffs. Bo Nix had a really good rookie season. He has playmakers Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Evan Engram, a pretty good O-line in Denver. J.K. Dobbins coming in from Baltimore, R.J. Harvey. The defense looks very, very good. They have one of the top corners, Pat Surtain. They have Tyler Hufanga at safety, Dre Greenlaw, Zach Allen. They have a very ferocious defense in Denver. They should be a wild card if everything goes right. Maybe they compete with the Chiefs for the division, because they are pretty talented. It's just a matter of breaking through that Kansas City barrier, because I mean, it's that was another game where they could have won and then the Chiefs blocked the field goal. They're pretty much very close, but they're probably a wild card. Can they take the next step forward? Obviously, they made the playoffs, got blown out by Buffalo. They could. The Chargers are another talented team, 9.5 wins. But in the playoffs, they're another team that has horrible luck, like the Jets. They are known for charging, and last year they just got embarrassed by the Houston Texans in the playoffs. Justin Herbert, really good quarterback. They added Najee Harris, Ladd McConkey at receiver, very good. Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen, Will Dissly. Their tight end that they drafted, Arunde Gadsden out of Syracuse, is supposed to be very good. Their offensive line, they have Joe Alt, one of the top tackles. Mekhi Becton, also tackle. On the defensive side of the football, you got Khalil Mack, Derwin James. They're talented, but again, can they put it all together? Can they win in the playoffs? And then this division, I mean, the Broncos I'm very high on. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. They might even still be better than they were last year. At the very least, they're going to win the division. So it's these two teams could both make the playoffs again as last year. Which one takes second place? Can either of them challenge Kansas City in the first place? I wouldn't think so, but they both have the talent to do so. The Chargers, I mean, the Chiefs just had so many games break their way. I mean, a 2-point win against LA. I mean, I don't even know how they kept winning games last year, but it was just absolutely ridiculous. 19-17 against the Chargers, 16-14 against the Broncos, 30-27 against the Panthers, 19-17 against the 2-10 Las Vegas Raiders. And just when I thought they put it together, they embarrassed the entire football league by getting blown out by the most hated rival of the Giants in football, Philadelphia, who just ruined my spirits, beat the Washington Commanders by making them fumble the football 3 times. I'm definitely very much not over all of that. I need these teams to go out there and get some revenge. But I think the Chiefs will be better. I really like the receiving core. I think the O-line, I think as long as that's fixed, I think they'll be pretty good. They had a game like this a few seasons ago against the Bucs. They got it back together. But, I mean, if the Chiefs could just stop BSing on offense and they can actually if they can actually look good on offense, I mean, they should have no problem. Like, they just need to figure it out because the defense is very good. They're already very lucky. They get every call in the book. I mean, it's just embarrassing when that all just goes away in the big game of the season after fooling people all year. Like, that's where my frustrations are with the Chiefs. But I think with better receivers this year and a better O-line, I think they're going to live up to it. I think the Broncos and Chargers are both very talented. I think one of them could potentially challenge at the top of the division. The other one might take a step back. But I think both are very good candidates to make the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, it's a very competitive West. But moving on to the South, the Texans I think are the class of the division there. I think their key was protecting C.J. Stroud because he also, kind of like Mahomes, he took a lot of sacks. He took 52 sacks. They're completely sacked, and basically like what happened to the Chiefs kind of happened to the Texans in that playoff game, completely pummeled. So they signed 4 vets on the offensive line. They drafted Ariante Ursary, one of the top offensive line tackles, I believe. And then the ground game, they have Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb coming in from the Browns too. I mean, he's pretty good. And the receivers, Nico Collins, Christian Kirk, Jane Higgins, a tight end, Dalton Schultz. I mean, these are all solid receivers. Stephon Diggs now on the Patriots. Yeah, I mean, the defense, Will Anderson, obviously really good. Danielle Hunter from the Vikings, Aziz Al-Shire at safety. I mean, the secondary has C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who avoided major injury time, Derek Stingley. So the defense is very solid for this Texans team. The offense also very good. I mean, C.J. Stroud has won the division in his first 2 years, made the playoffs. Can they get farther than the divisional? I think they're going to need to see a better O-line to do that. Yeah, I mean, and that's pretty much it for the division because the rest of no, I'm just kidding. But the Colts, 7.5 wins. I mean, their quarterback room is very dysfunctional. Anthony Richardson, who suffered an injury, who's known for tapping out of a NFL game, which I've never seen before. Daniel Jones, a little bit better than that, I guess. He likely wins the job. He's actually been playing pretty decently, but I'm sure he's going to do some DJ things. So good luck with that. Playmakers, the Colts have plenty. Jonathan Taylor at running back, Michael Pittman, the receiver, A.D. Mitchell on the depth chart, backup receiver, if you remember him from Georgia. Tyler Warren, the Mackey Award-winning tight end out of Penn State, do it all. He could do anything on offense. Their defensive line has the top 2 linebackers injured. A lot of questionables there. One of their defensive pieces, Laiatu Latu, I think they drafted him. In the secondary, getting the former Chiefs corner Trevarius Ward, Cam Bynum, I believe he was from the Vikings. So they have a decent lineup, but their defense is a little bit weak. Their quarterback situation is just not really good at all. So I don't really see them making any noise. They might win 7-8 games. They're kind of like in the middle. Same thing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, can Trevor Lawrence be more consistent, stay healthy? Something that he really hasn't done. They made the playoffs a couple seasons ago. They have some decent playmakers, Brian Thomas, Travis Etienne at running back, the Clemson duo. Travis Hunter is going to be really exciting. Basically playing a lot more at receiver, but also a decent amount at cornerback too, reserve corner. But I think he's on the depth chart as primarily a receiver 1 and a quarterback 2. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, I think that could be really good. In Liam Cohen's offense, tight ends get like 80% of the snaps. So Brendan Strange, their tight end, is going to be the beneficiary there. On defense, they have some powerful. They have a really good front 7, front 4. The other Josh Allen, Arik Armstead, Trayvon Walker, former number 1 pick on their team. But Trevor Lawrence is going to have a really good season to really push the team past 7-8 wins. They're capped. I think the Colts are also capped because of their quarterback and their questionable defense. Like half the defense is a Q next to their name on the depth chart. It's not very promising. And none of these teams are really as good as the Texans, like in the first place, but especially with all the dysfunction going on over there. And then the Titans, the worst team out of all 4 of them, 5.5 win over and under. Cam Ward, who was just a sensational player in college, is going to get the starting nod. Really looking forward to seeing him. Nobody talks about him, but he's a guy who puts his head down and works. Their playmaker is a little bit underwhelming, but they have Tony Pollard, former lead back for Dallas Cowboys, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, Van Jefferson, Jacob Conquo at tight end. The O-line, could be above average. They added a few pieces like Kevin Zeitler, Dan Moore. Their defense was really bad last year. They ranked 19th in EPA, 38 points allowed, and they lost some of their top players too. They're losing defensive end Harold Landry, not promising, linebacker Jack Gibbons, cornerback Chidobe Awuzie. Some of the top defensive players on a bad defense left. That's not great, but on their best players on the defense, Arden Key, L'Jarius Sneed, Chiefs corner, Jarvis Brownlee, Rutgers defensive end, Sebastian Joseph Day was kind of bounced around the league, expected to start on one side of the line there. So, yeah, I mean, the Titans, they made the AFC Championship game. They've kind of gone way down. They traded A.J. Brown for no apparent reason, but only to hurt the Giants and other NFC East teams, I guess, and they basically got like nothing back for that. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how well Cam Ward does. It's his first year. It might look like the Bears' Caleb Williams' first year. There might be some bright spots, but this division, I think, is, better than them. Even, I think the Colts and the Jags are probably going to be better than them. The Texans, I think, have another shot to win the division. Can they take the next step? It's kind of the question for them. We will find out. But finally, the AFC North is always one of the most competitive divisions in football. The Ravens are the clear front runner this year, 11.5 wins, as they have been the last few years. Bengals might have something to say about that, as do the Steelers. But the Ravens, I think, are the clear-cut favorites. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry both had monster seasons last year. I think Derrick Henry was among the leading rushers. He was I think he had like a 200-yard game. Receivers, they have talent. Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, DeAndre Hopkins coming in from Kansas City. Mark Andrews, the tight end. Known for he dropped a pass against Buffalo, but I mean he's been very reliable. Isaiah Likely's really grown into a really good receiving tight end. They have the fullback Pat Ricard, who's been in the lineup. The defense has stars on their end too, like Raquan Smith, Mamadi Madubike, Kyle Van Noy in the front seven. Their secondary is one of the most elite in the NFL. Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks, Jair Alexander, Marlon Humphrey on the back end of that. They were very close to knocking off Buffalo last year. Can they break through? Another thing to note about them, Justin Tucker, who got in trouble for some off the field stuff, is off the team. They bring in Tyler Loop. He was known as one of the top kickers in the National Football League. They're very good with their special teams in Baltimore too, so that's going to be a change. But I mean, I think the team as a whole, I think, is very talented. They should win the division. They might be able to compete for a championship this year, but they have to get by the Bills. They have to get by Kansas City. Same story. The Bengals, meanwhile, they fired Lou Anarumo, who had the most obnoxiously poor defense in the league, while also having one of the best passing offenses with Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase all having like ridiculous seasons. They went defense heavy in the draft. Shamar Stewart signing young defensive end out of Texas A&M, while Trey, he was not signed because of contract language. Trey Hendrickson holding out. They really need him in there because Joseph Osai and Miles Murphy haven't really been the most impressive. They need their star pass rush duo. Joseph Osai has been playing for them, so maybe they fill in the gap. But I mean, they having a duo like Stewart and Hendrickson, I think, would be really what this team needs on offense. I mean, they did sign T. Higgins and Jamar Chase for the long haul. Joe Burrow healthy this year. Chase Brown at running back, Mike Gesicki, Andre Iosivas. I mean, the Bengals offense is fun to watch every year, but their defense is porous. Another thing that they have not done in years is start fast. They've started 1-4 last season, which cost them a playoff spot. They've always had a rough September. Can they put that behind them? Hopefully, yes, because the Bengals are a fun team. I would like them to make a run, but they haven't really been the same team since knocking off Kansas City and losing to them in the next AFC Championship. The Steelers, an always interesting team because they, in a way are kind of like Penn State of the NFL, but maybe even like a little bit worse. They're always like an above average team that never really finishes the job. They're adding Aaron Rodgers, who had a good season with the Jets. What does he have left in the tank? They made some interesting changes at receiver, adding DK Metcalf, Jonnu Smith. They have Calvin Austin, Robert Woods, Pat Freiermuth at tight end. Caleb Johnson coming in from Iowa, Big Ten leading rusher. I think he could be a good piece. Jaylen Warren in there. The defense has I think, the top defensive line in the NFL, ahead of even the Giants and the Eagles, led by Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, and all pro. They signed him, adding Patrick Queen last offseason. The secondary picks on or takes on Darius Slay from Philly. They have Joey Porter, Jalen Ramsey, a big acquisition at cornerback from Jacksonville with the Fitzpatrick trade. That's going to be an interesting one too. So I mean, and then Deshaun Elliott and Juan Thornhill at safety, not bad players in their own right. So I mean, Pittsburgh, they have a good lineup, but it's just I don't know if they're going to be better than Cincy, and I don't think they're going to be better than Baltimore once again. So and they're definitely not as good as like the Chiefs or the Bills. Like they're going to be in that middle tier, but like, can they make the playoffs? Like I think it's definitely possible. I think their defense is really good. Their offense should be better this year too with Aaron Rodgers under center. Yeah, but they're probably going to pull the usual Mike Tomlin special of 10-7 and a wild card exit. Because I don't trust them. But anyway, finally, last but not least in this, we have the Cleveland Browns. Their over-under is just 4.5 wins. They have the most ridiculous quarterback situation in the NFL. Joe Flacco, who has been a quality starter, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and for some reason, Shedeur Sanders, who's at the bottom of the depth chart, despite impressing in his preseason game. I think the NFL and the Browns have a gripe against him because he showed everyone a bunch of attitude, like he's better than people, and then they put him in his place, so now he's just going to have to suffer. Apparently, I would hope he ends up being second on the depth chart. I think Joe Flacco is definitely a good option for Cleveland, but they're definitely holding out for a better draft pick next year. A lot of quarterbacks in the 2026 draft, potentially Arch Manning. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Underwhelming talent all over the place. Their top receiving options are Cedric Tillman and their tight end David Njoku. They really don't have anyone else to note at receiver, or even a running back. Actually has a good college duo, Quinshon Judkins from the Ohio State and Dylan Sampson from Tennessee. On defense, they spent their first pick on defense, which I think was a big mistake, but their front four has Mason Graham and Myles Garrett now paired up, which should be a nasty duo. Back end, not really. They have a couple players out there, but nothing to note. I think they have like Denzel Ward, a couple other solid players in the secondary, but their lineup is just not going to be that good. They're kind of like the Saints in the AFC, where there's really not much upside for this, and they have the lowest win total with 4.5. I mean, they should be better than last year. They won 3 games last season, but I think they're looking for they're looking ahead to 2026 already. What's going to come out of that quarterback room? God knows, honestly. But I don't know what their plan is. But I mean, hopefully it's just Joe Flacco. They do have Jerry Jeudy on the offense, Jerome Ford on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, Denzel Ward, Ronnie Hickman. I mean, they have some like decent talent, but I mean, it's nothing too crazy. That division is crazy competitive, and the Browns just are not going to have it this year. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. The Bengals might, the Steelers might. The Ravens definitely will have it. So I mean, if anyone can change the old guard in the AFC, I'd be surprised. I think the division winners are going to be the same as they have been last year. The Chiefs in the AFC West, although maybe the other teams have something to say about that this year. But I still feel like the Chiefs are an automatic shoo-in there, especially with their lineup being as good as it is. In the East, I think the Bills have like a lock on that. No one's going to really compete with that this year. Miami, I don't think it's going to get in their way. The Ravens in the North, same thing. The Texans in the South, even more of the same thing. The wild cards, I think I'm high on the Broncos, the Chargers. I think they have enough talent. I think Cincinnati this year is going to be a team to watch out for. I think their defense is better. Their offense is just too much talent to be wasted. I mean, as long as they can get Hendrickson back on the field, they're going to be a fun team this year. I hope for once they don't start slow. They have way too much talent to be missing the playoffs. The AFC Championship, I mean, I don't know. I mean, this could be anyone's game. It's like really hard to pick against Kansas City. I'd really like to see them not make it one year, but at the same time, I do like them, I guess, until they lost to Philadelphia. So I'm not really sure like what to do with the championship prediction. I feel like as much as I want it to be like Ravens versus Bills, like I feel like the Chiefs are at least going to make it so far, and they're probably, I don't know, it might be another year for the Ravens. The Ravens might have to wait again. I don't know, maybe not, but like it's really hard to say. Like I think the Ravens, you know what? Maybe I'll shake it up because I'm not too confident like on Kansas City, but I feel like they'll end up BSing their way into the AFC Championship. But I would like to say that the Bills do break through this time and knock them off. Although It's not guaranteed to happen. I just don't see the Chiefs entirely missing the AFC Championship. I think even for a hater, that'd be too much. So yeah, we'll see. I think either the Ravens or Bills. I think Buffalo. It might be their year. They put together a defense that works really well with their offense. They have the pass rush now. I think the Eagles have the formula shown on like what to do to beat them. And I think they put in enough. There's a lot of questions around Kansas City's receiving trio that I'm very high on. And I just don't think they're going to be able to BS their way to 15 wins. I mean, like they might be better in the playoffs, but just for 1 year, I would like to see Buffalo beat them. And in the NFC, like there's like no way in hell I'm going to pick the Eagles to go back to the Super Bowl. I had them out of the NFC Championship game entirely because I hate them, and I hope Saquon Barkley just runs into a wall this year and doesn't run for anywhere near 2,000 yards. I think there's teams that have way higher upside than them. They lost a lot on defense. They'll still be pretty good, but I think will be favorites for the division. But I have the Commanders and the Rams getting through to the NFC Championship. I think Commanders get the best of Philly this year, at least one time. And I'm really high on the Rams, unusually high, but I think the Commanders, with the adjustments they made on defense, are going to make it to the Super Bowl. That's my wild prediction. I can't predict Chiefs Eagles again for like the third year in a row. So I'm going to go with Bills versus Commanders, the Super Bowl that America wanted last year. Buffalo wins it. But I mean, who knows? Anything could happen. We could see the Chiefs right back in the big game again. We could see the Eagles even better than they were last year. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate, like kind of what happened last year. But at the same time, I think this year we get fresh faces. We get Buffalo, Washington, someone else, hopefully someone else on the NFC side. AFC side, if the Chiefs win, so be it. But I really do think Buffalo has what it takes. Baltimore, them maybe them too, but I don't know. I feel like the Ravens are like 2 games away, and the Bills are 1 game away. I think the Bills get it done. I don't know. I just can't see the Chiefs not making the AFC Championship game, so I'm gonna have the Ravens have to wait 1 more year. The Bills knock off Kansas City, and then knock off Washington this year. Those are my predictions for this year's 2025 NFL season. Yeah, so I mean, coming up after this, I'm going to be shifting over to college football with my co-host Andrew Rice. We're going to be talking about the Big Ten teams, the power teams like Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, the top tier, the middle tier, even the bottom tier. Are going to run through what the Big Ten is going to look like. We're also going to talk about the contenders in the ACC, Big 12, SEC, what those leagues look like. I want to be as comprehensive as possible. And as you can see, I could do in a limited time period. It doesn't have to be a 2-hour episode for no reason. So, I'm enjoying blitzing through it, but we're going to do a more comprehensive college football preview of all the major power conferences. And then we're going to follow that up by doing a CFP mock bracket for the 99th episode, which is going to be really fun. 100th episode, I plan on doing a week 1, I guess a week 0 recap, week 1 preview, and then that is the 100th, the special 100th episode. The 101st will be week 1 recap, and then 102nd will be doing something for NFL kickoffs. So stay tuned for all of that. A lot of sports vibe ahead. But I mean, in the meantime, yeah, this has been another episode of Sports Vibe. AFC preview, predictions, in-depth look at all 32 teams in the NFL is now done, what to expect for all of them, and even some personal notes. But as always, the vibes are always high on Sports Vibe, and we'll see you next time.